What's going on, guys? So I want to talk a little bit about the stock market today. First day in a long time that I really did not see any good setups whatsoever. Um, yeah, just the market was kind of all over the place. A lot of stocks from overnight and pre-market gapped up really aggressively. I've got the triple Q's NASDAQ 100 pulled up here. And if you can take a look here, yesterday we closed at about 331 and some change, and pre-market really looked great. I mean, you had Shopify up 60-70 points, you had Facebook up like 7 or 8 points, and we actually gapped up over the 5-day moving average supply here. And anytime that we have an aggressive gap up like that, I really hate to just jump in and go long on stocks right out of the gate just because of such the aggressive gap up. So are we going lower in the stock market? In my personal opinion, I still think and thought that we really needed to get down here to this 325 area, test this 50-day simple moving average here. Even if we lost it, I would have loved to see a reclaim of this 50-day moving average, and that would have been a great point to start getting long off the Qs, possibly for a reversal, and to start working our way up. Same thing with a lot of stocks that maybe have got down to the 50-day moving average. But we did this really aggressive gap up over 332 on the 5-day moving average. And then as you can see here, this blue line that I'm highlighting, this blue line here, is the 10-day moving average. As soon as we came into this resistance here on the supply zone, we immediately got stuffed and then back sold off a little bit. So we did come up here and touch as high as 336.61, and then we closed the day at 334.20, which is still 2.5 points up, just shy of 1% on the NASDAQ 100. But I mean, if I can pull up Amazon here just so you can get sort of an idea. So Amazon here, really aggressive in pre-market right off the open, got all the way up here to 33.31, and then immediately came into the 20-day supply zone here and got stuffed. I mean, I think that it was actually as high as, if I go to the hourly chart here, I think it was a little bit higher than that. The highest we've seen, yeah, 33.61 on Amazon. And as soon as the market opened, just in a super aggressive sell-off here, and then we kind of just faded the rest of the day. So if I go back to the daily chart here and look at Amazon, we closed at 32.91, which was down $14.76, down 0.5%. And as you can see here, as soon as we came into this 20-day supply zone here, immediately got stuffed and pushed lower. I would have still liked to see Amazon take out this low here we had yesterday at about 32.46. I would have loved to see Amazon retest 32.13, the 50-day moving average. And I think this is probably the spot you want to go long off of Amazon here. Ever since we had this original breakout from the 50-day moving average, where we ran from 31.74 all the way to a high of 35.54 after earnings. You know, we're talking about a 400 or 500 point move in the past month on Amazon. So I can understand a little bit of profit taking. I can understand a little bit of market weakness. However, I still would have liked to get down here up this 32 level. If you do see going into next week, the Qs start to get weaker. Okay. So this is what I possibly think that can happen going into next week. If next week we can't reclaim this 10-day moving average here, take back 336, and really start to push higher. As you can see here, we did crack below the 5-day moving average. We kind of rested here at the 50-day EMA line, which to me is not so much of a heavy support, although yeah, it is the 50-day EMA. However, this price here at 325.64 is the 50-day simple moving average. I would have really loved to see that. If we continue to get stuffed at the 10-day supply here and we lose the 5-day moving average, it's almost safe to say that you can expect another back test of the 50-day EMA at about $329. If we lose $329, I would put my money on the short side to go back down and test 325. 325 would be the actual level that I would like to see. However, with just such the aggressive gap up today, and then immediately when the market opened, getting stuffed and selling off, and then kind of just fading the rest of the day, to me is not too promising that the selling pressure is over. Today, there was not a lot of out of the money calls coming in on the live options flow. If anything, we were still seeing a ton of put buying for next week's expirations and 2 weeks expirations for 325, 320, those areas here. So if we go down here to 320, 320 would actually be the 100-day moving average. So if we do continue to have continued selling and more of a correction here, this could also be a spot to look to get long at 320.35 if we lose the 50-day moving average. Now, if we continue to trade sideways here going into next week, in between the ranges of 336, 337, and 332, to me is still not a good opportunity to put on any swings or anything to the long side, just due to the fact that we're in the middle here and we're in still a lot of choppy waters, meaning that we can trade sideways for a little bit, maybe a week or 2 weeks, and then still get that continued breakdown to the 50-day moving average or a break above. Still, before I would like to put on anything to the long side for a swing, I would still like to take out all-time highs at 342.80. That would kind of signify that we're ready to get started on the next leg up in this bull market. However, we are still very, very bullish as we are trading over the 50-day moving average. However, just safe to be cautious when you are taking on any trades. Anything that you are taking on right now has to be a quick scalp. You have to have a little bit of room for the stock that you're playing to go ahead and have room to stretch to the upside or the downside. So just be very, very cautious. Even though today we had such an aggressive pre-market and gap up, does not mean that the selling is over. So I don't want people to get too comfortable thinking that, hey, we had a green day on the NASDAQ. Some stocks pushed up, like Roku, was up $32 today after such an aggressive sell-off before earnings. Shopify was up just a little bit, but way under where they were just going back a week or 2 weeks ago. Google was up just a tad. Still, I would like to see Google get above 2,400. NVIDIA is trading at 592. However, on NVIDIA, I also did see a lot of put buying options contracts coming in on the live scanner today. Square finished up the day $9.39. However, they did have earnings yesterday, reported really good earnings. We still have to take that into account. Tesla as well closed at $672, up $8 on the day. So if I go ahead and just pull up Tesla here, Tesla still has a lot of resistance that they're coming into. Even with the gap up on the Qs today, you can see that Tesla tried to push the 10-day moving average here. And as soon as they got into the 10-day moving average here, immediately got rejected and actually closed below the 5-day moving average. There's still a lot of put buying on the options flow side for this thing to head lower. 650, I even seen 600 strikes coming in for next week and the following week's expirations here. So one thing to keep an eye on Tesla, I don't see a clear trade on Tesla until we can reclaim the 5 and the 10-day moving average. And even with that being said, you're going to run into a little bit of supply at 696, and you're going to run into a little bit of supply here at 708. There's really not a clear trade. Let me just remove this trend line. There's really not a clear trade on Tesla until we can kind of take out this channel here at 716.86, and then you've got room to 727. I think that if Tesla can reclaim 727, if the market back tests a 50-day moving average and Tesla can sort of reclaim 727, it does have room to stretch into the $766 area. However, that is still a long ways away. Right now, Tesla is still looking very bearish. It's still looking like the sellers have control of this stock, even though we do get these pumps and these little mini rallies intraday. Tesla still cannot claim the 5 and the 10-day moving average. So for me, heading into next week, if the market shows a little bit of weakness and continued selling, I can see Tesla back testing the lows of the day, which is $659.42, and possibly retesting 653. If Tesla loses 653, you can look at a long stretch down. If you're an options player here, there's room realistically all the way to $578. Not saying that Tesla's going to go all the way down if we continue to sell, because that's over 100 points away. However, as you can see here on the chart, there's a lot of open waters here that if this thing starts to get hit, it can continue to get hit for a long ways. And to the upside, you can see here, we've got a ceiling here at the 5-day, which is $672.37. We've also got a ceiling at $688.91. And then we've got another ceiling at 709 and another ceiling at 727. So if you are trying to play Tesla, overnight, if you're trying to play Tesla to the upside, you can see here that we're going to hit these supply zones here, start to chop around, possibly if we can't regain those levels, chop back down lower, retest the lower support, and then chop back up. So a very, very choppy day, a very, very choppy setup for Tesla. Tesla still has a lot of work to do. So going back to the Qs, something to keep in mind for next week. The main level that you're going to want to look at is, can the Qs, the triple Qs, reclaim $336 on a close? That doesn't mean test it intraday. That means, can we close above $336? If we can close above $336, then maybe this 50-day EMA is going to act as a support for right now. Maybe we come back at a later date and test this 50-day moving average in the months to come. However, if we do lose the 5-day moving average, you can possibly see some aggressive selling from $331 down to $329. And if we lose $329, I would bet that we are going to touch $325. Just keep that in mind, guys. I hope you guys all have a good weekend. And if you are trading a lot of these stocks, just keep those levels in mind. On another note, Dogecoin is going to $1. At least it looks that way. So if you do play crypto and you have been invested in Doge, good luck to all of you guys. Just remember to take your profits along the way, because that has just been an insane move on Dogecoin. I have a little bit, but nothing that's going to be life changing. So I hope you guys all have a good weekend. I will see you guys all next week.